It's one of the most important factors in Hold'em and one overlooked by many players when they start playing: position. But why is it so important, and how can understanding position help you win more or lose less? Position means where you are sat at the table in relation to the dealer button. The button and the betting always moves clockwise, and the betting starts to the left of the dealer in all but the opening round, when it starts with the player on the left of the big blind. So the later in the round of betting you have to act, the more information you have. By contrast, if you're one of the first to act, you have no idea what the players who will act after you will do, so there's more risk in the early position. At a six-handed table like this, you're in the early position if you're in one of the 3 seats to the left of the dealer. You're in the middle position if you're in seat 4, and seat 5 and seat 6, the dealer, are in late position. Understanding your position at the table in any given hand is key in Hold'em because it helps you determine which starting hands are playable and which ones should be folded. When you're in the early position, you're at a disadvantage straight away because you've either already made your bet as the small or big blind, or you're the first to act in the opening round of betting. The main problem is that you haven't been able to acquire any information on the strength of any of your opponent's hands because they haven't had to act yet. For this reason, you should only play the best start cards like these from the early position. If another player raises you as the betting moves around the table, then you won't be too worried because you know that you've got a strong hand and you're always going to play these cards anyway. Compare this with playing a marginal hand from an early position. You get raised, which means it's going to cost you more chips to continue with that hand. Whereas if you'd been in a late position, you would have seen the raise first and could have folded the marginal hand and not risked your chips. So be disciplined and only play these top starting hands from the early position, and then you'll be thrilled to see a raise from a player behind you. How does being seated in a middle position affect your play? Well, the middle positions are better than the early seats, obviously, because you'll have seen how some of your opponents acted. But on the downside, there are still other players who have the benefit of betting after you, and you won't know what they're going to do. So, from the middle position, more starting hands come into play than the early seats. All of these hands are very playable start hands from the middle position, plus of course all the obvious start cards like pocket aces, kings and queens, plus ace-king and ace-queen both suited and offsuit. Unless there's been a big raise from an early position, in which case you might be calling or even folding, you'll be confident to raise with these hands. And armed with the knowledge of how the players before you acted, you'll be more comfortable if you get re-raised from the late position too. On our six-handed table, you're in the best position of all if you're in seats 5 or 6, because you're now in the late position. But why is it such a great advantage? Well, the main reason is that you have more information. You'll know how many players are left in the hand and how much has been bet so far. In addition, in every betting round after the first, you're last to act for the rest of the hand, so you retain your advantage right through to the 5th or river card if the hand gets that far. This means many more cards are playable as starting hands. Small pairs come into play, as do drawing hands like this, where you're hoping to hit a straight or a flush. Although even with these hands, you wouldn't want to be putting too many chips in or calling a big raise, you'd only want to see the flop if you could do so cheaply. Another opportunity in the late position is the chance to steal the blinds. If you've sensed or seen that the actions of the players who've gone before you indicate they're not confident in their hand, then a raise from your late position can cause them to fold and surrender the blinds. Don't do it too often though without reasonable cards, because sooner or later they're going to get fed up with you nicking their chips and call or even re-raise you.